Welcome to Captive Audience, Wonderful Wednesday, and it's November 16th. I'm Sunny Danforth, and I am in Northeast Oregon. I mean, very Northeast Oregon. It's right next to I'm in Umatilla County, and I'm pretty close to the Washington border. So, listen, hey, tonight I wanted to, hey, Lori. So, there's a lot of disappointment with our election. And but what I wanted to talk about, I want to talk about part of that tonight, but also just last night we had our organizational meeting in Umatilla County. I'm the chair of Umatilla County Republican Party. I've been the chair, so I was just reelected to my third term, and I'm happy that that I am reelected as the chair, the county chair, because there's a lot of work to do. There's a lot of work we've done, but there's a lot of work to do, and um, we need to have people that are willing to do the work, do the heavy lifting to change our state of Oregon. And so when I said, hey, about the election, and there's a lot of disappointment with that, so tonight I want to talk about a few things that are not disappointments, because I think people can get stuck on negativity, as well. And I'm a person that I look at the glass that's half full. So I'm much more of an optimist. I'm also a realist. But before we go into all of that, I wasn't able to watch last night, but I did get to see just a little bit of Trump announcing his intent, his candidacy for president for 2024, and good. But it's interesting, actually. Frankly, I think that's very good. I was a Trump supporter before it was popular. And I even had some PCPs come and ask me, "Are you really supporting Trump?" I go, "Yeah, like we need a successful business person running this country and not necessarily status quo politicians. This is how we got into the mess that we're in, partly. And so, hello. Hi, Patty. Hi, Bobby. Nice to see you. And so, I'm glad that he's running. But what is very, very interesting is that the way the media is playing it. So if you all paid attention, there before he was going to run, they started bashing him, right? And trying to make negative, and they're trying to make people think that there's a whole lot of people that don't support him. And while there's going to be some that don't, I believe the majority of the Republican Party do. And so Bobby says, I was going to ask how everyone felt about Trump running again. There you are. Leave your comments. Let's have let's start out with having that conversation. Because for me, it is the job before the personality. I was not a person who watched him on television or anything, but you cannot argue, in my opinion, with a successful businessman with what he has built in his lifetime. And if the Democrats and the establishment wasn't so afraid of him, they would not be fighting him. There wouldn't be just going after him and after him and after him. You know, in the United States of America, it is you break a law, someone finds out, and you get charged with a crime and whatnot. It's not, let's go look for a law. Let's go look for something that happened that maybe he did illegally, or let's fabricate something. And I will tell you, this is the tack that's happening on former President Trump. So, yes, he's going to run for a third term. For me, I'm very happy because we cannot argue with the results of what he did for America. And it's a heavy lift. It's a heavy lift is to the burden of the presidency of the United States. If America goes down, so goes the world. We are the free beacon to the world. We truly, truly are. And to stop the reset, globalism, and I frankly like the America First policy. It was President Bill Clinton that put us into North America Free Trade Agreement, NAFTA, that started the decline of businesses leaving the United States. And, that's been a huge spiral down since then. I've been paying attention to politics for a long time, haven't been in the game, but I've certainly been paying attention as to what's going on. And so I just thought we would start having a little bit of that conversation tonight of of with Trump's announcement that he's running. And I so be careful of what be mindful, not be careful, but be mindful of what some of the media is saying, because why are they saying it? Why are they attacking? And well, he didn't go along to get along. He got in just like a businessman would, to make things happen and to change things up and turn it successful. What's not to like about that? Because we just don't have to go along to get along. So it is. I think it's. Let's see. Bobby says they're getting paid big bucks or bit bucks to put Trump down. Sure, they are. It's anyway. I'm very happy that he's thrown his hat in the ring. This is a person who he doesn't need this job, but he loves our country. And that's why he's running. I'm glad he is. So let's go to the national election and the talk of, oh, well, there's never was going to be a red wave. Well, we heard lots about there's going to be a red wave. Well, the red wave didn't happen. And as I was listening the other day on Fox Business Channel, I listened to Varney in the morning, and he had a fellow on, and he goes, actually, 2024 is the year of the red wave, not just because of the presidential election, but it happens to be that the Democrats have to defend more seats in the Senate and the House, or in the House anyway. And so this year, the Republicans had to defend their seats. And by golly, we picked up. So right now, we have won the majority of the House at 119. Well, guess what? Oregon just sent one more member to the House. That's right, Oregon. Could that be us that helped turn it into having the majority of the House? I love it. And I don't know how many years, but for sure 30 years. I remember Greg Walden. I almost said someone else. Oh my heavens, like that's crazy. So, but Greg Walden, he said there's never been someone else, another Republican running with him when he was in office. And so now we have, along with Cliff Bentz in CD2, we have Lori Chavez DeRemer in CD5 that is going. And that is exciting. It really, really is exciting that we've got two Republicans in the House. Hooray! This is a win for Oregon. It's a win for our nation as well. So there's things to take into perspective and look at that. Now, so yeah, was the red wave a media hype? I don't know. I don't know. But it is certainly, was it intentional to maybe cause for people to be, if the wave didn't happen, to disillusion? I don't know. But there's a lot that goes on in the media, more than we might be aware of. And so we have to kind of take a lot of that with a grain of salt. So I have a story here, or not a story. It's from the Epoch Times, and it is showing the it's showing the midterm elections results here. And from that, you can, when you look at this, it shows the Senate, the House, and the governors. And we are at 219. You need 218 for the majority. We're at 219. So we're plus 9 seats. The Democrats are minus 9 seats. This is awesome. You know, this really is awesome. Now we have the Senate is the Democrats have 50 and the Republicans have 49. And this is why the Walker race is so important that we win that race. It absolutely is. And then there's also a link on there. There's 3 different places you can look at also the governor's races. They don't have the numbers, but I was counting up. So right now it's 16 to 16 Republican versus Democrat, and several that are undecided right now in the elections. And so we have to just take a look at the wins that we have and look at what we have accomplished. Okay, it is damn disappointing that we didn't win the governor's race in Oregon, but as I spoke last night to my central committee in Umatilla County, was that when you have the Democrats outnumber the Republican voters right from the get-go. And David and I have talked about this. I mean, we've talked about this a lot on this program. But so it was a heavy lift just to begin with. And then you add the third candidate in there. To what level she took Republican votes away, I don't know. I'm not privy on that. I don't know what any exit polls were or anything, or how many votes she took away from Democrats, the third candidate. But we are low on, we didn't win the governor's race. But we did come very, very close. Now, close only works in, hand grenades, right? It's close. Close doesn't cut it. You want to win the race. But to realize that we were way down to start with. So I want to talk a little about that, being way down to start with, because I'm seeing in social media, people going, what is this? Like in my county, what's 49% voter turnout? How can that be in Umatilla County or whatever? So I went on election day, so I crunched numbers. And I did this on the 9th, the day after the election. I downloaded data from our county and also the Secretary of State's site. And I talked about this last night. So at the date of this, in fact, it's funny because if you go right now to the Secretary of State's website, I'm going to pull that because I have it. It says that statewide voter turnout was 62.51%. But when you go to the website and want to download the data, it still reads 60.5% because they have not updated what the actual voter turnout has been in the unofficial ballot returns. They have not updated that, but on the website, it shows more have turned in. And so at this point, it says 60.5%. And in Umatilla County, then it had 50.7% voter turnout. And well, okay, that sounds like really bad, but let me give you the numbers. We actually had in Umatilla County, the Republicans were 76.6% voter turnout in Umatilla County. And many counties were like that. Some of the larger counties, I go, where did the Republicans go? Like Clackamas County has a pretty bad turnout. So I'm going to just give you some of those numbers because I think it is important to help people to understand that just when you see if they've downloaded this and they don't really look at what the parties did, that looks pretty bad at 50.7% turnout. Clackamas at 42.1% voter turnout. But when you get into the numbers of the parties, and actually the Republicans turned out, as of this data on the 9th, that you can still get right now from the website because it hasn't been updated. It's 75.6. I have to go back like this because I have like my screen glasses on to watch my computer and whatnot. And so it is 75.6%. And so, as I just mentioned, we turned out Umatilla County higher in a percentage point than the statewide average. Well, so for Clackamas, let's just look at some of these numbers. The Republicans in Clackamas, we're about 50%, roughly, voter turnout of Republicans. They've got over 84,000 Republican voters in Clackamas County, and they had over 44,000 that returned a ballot. That's as of the 9th. What was reported, all the official, unofficial voter turnout. So varying counties had different turnouts, and some counties turn out way more than others. But listen to this. So the Democrats turned out at 72%, the Republicans statewide at over 75%. The unaffiliated voter, which is the group that never votes in Oregon, turned out at just over 38%. And then we have the other little parties, the Constitution Party at 55%. But you know what? In the whole state, there's less than 4,000 people belong to the Constitution Party. And in my mind, I go, why would you belong to that? Why wouldn't you jump into the major party and let's be a part of that team? But in the general, it doesn't frankly matter. In the primary is where that matters. But in the general, we just want them to turn their ballot in. And of course, voting in the Republicans. So the working families, 34%, just over 34%. And then different parties, let's see, the Progressives was at 58.5%, and the Pacific Green Party, which has about just over 7,000 people in their voting block that are registered that way, was 59.2%. And so while it is showing at this point the ballot return of 60.5%, I will tell you the Republicans, we did turn out as of this date of 75.6%, and many counties were higher than this state average, because in order to have an average like that, some are higher and unfortunately some are lower. So as David mentioned, we have to increase our voter base. That's what we've got to do. So I had done some research on Umatilla County in preparation of my meeting last night, because I wanted to show what our county had done. And I know Patty's on here, and I am sure that she could, speak to her county as well. But we've been working on registering voters. And Patty says the Constitution Party are just mad Republicans that didn't get their way working inside the Republican Party. Thanks, Patty. But so in Umatilla County, in 2 years, we've had a net gain of 1,608 Republicans. We are working in many, many ways to change people to join our party, activate people, and changing the NAVs and people that lean Republican to join our party. And so the independents, the independent party, groom independents, independent party are actually pretty liberal in Umatilla County. And Patty has now said, thank you, Patty, for that. Klamath County had over 80% Republican turnout. That's awesome. That's awesome. And Wallowa County is always high, So that is fantastic. So there's, You go, well, where were they? Well, we always need more. We need more Republican voters. And but it's not just the party's job. And I think that's something that people have to realize. It's not just the party's job to make this happen. If you are a registered Republican, you're part of the party. And so you can help people to get registered to vote. You can help make sure people are turning their ballots in and whatnot. Every year we have an election. Every year we have an election. The next election is going to be some districts and school boards and that is local. Those are so important. This is how we come back and take our state back. It's in local elections. All of these special districts all have budgets. They have budgets. That's money. And so what we need is okay, Patty says what she's hearing is more than 180,000 registered Republicans did not vote, and that's higher than in 2018. So people are disenfranchised, but we have to vote our way out of this. Voter fraud or not, we have to vote our way out of this. We need people voting. We cannot be dismayed, and because this is how we fix it. It is how we fix it. So what did we gain? What did we gain in this election? We didn't get the governors. That is a bummer. But you know what we did? The Oregon supermajority is gone. The Democrats do not control both the House and the Senate in Oregon any longer. The supermajority is gone. That means there has to be a compromise. And this is a win for Oregon. It truly, truly is a win for Oregon. And so I have a story here. Let me get that. I want to post that. Let me make sure I got that there. And Lori said, also need to report any irregularities. Well, speaking of that, somebody contacted me today and said, you know what? My husband dropped 3 ballots off in a drop box that have never been counted. And I told her, you contact the elections office directly and tell them when it was and where it was, because the boxes, if not all of them, most of them all have video and they could verify the drop off, but where are they? And they said, so she got back to me and said that the clerk was going to go out and recheck the box and see if there was anything in there. That was not 1 ballot, not 2 ballots. It was 3 out of 3 that were dropped in a box in Umatilla County did not get counted. They've not shown up in the system. So is there problems of things? Sure there is. And then another person I know got a hold of me and said, hey, we're hearing that ballots are getting forwarded to people ballots being forwarded. Well, actually, ballots are to be returned. If the person doesn't live there any longer, ballots are to be returned. And if they have forwarding to another address, I do not believe, and maybe somebody here can correct me on that a ballot should be forwarded at all with the little yellow sticker on it and whatnot. I don't believe so. I don't think so. And so these things need to be documented, but we have to have evidence of that and documentation of that type of thing. So, we have to take a look at all of it. So what else did we win in Oregon? We won that we've got. Yeah, Patty says no ballot forwarding. She's the chair, or was. She's the former chair of Klamath County, and so I'm right. She's right that you don't forward a ballot. And unfortunately, and this came actually from a mail carrier, and I said, "Well, did you get a picture? Did you get a picture of it? Because this needs to stop." This is one of the reasons I recommend nobody mail a ballot. But this is coming from the ballot from the county and to the Postal Service, and the Postal Service is not supposed to forward a ballot. They're supposed to send it back. And yeah, she owns a shipping company and she deals with the US mail. There you go. It's a lot more than just being the chair. That's exactly right. I forgot about that, Patty. I know that's foremost in what you do. Foremost in what you do. So we've picked up some seats. It's wonderful adding seats here in Oregon. So we've done away with the supermajority. I don't know how county commissioners are. I can tell you here in Umatilla County, we had a couple of real good wins, and for county commissioner, we in our county. In fact, I've got another story here I want to post. The majority of the counties and cities, 25 counties and 100 cities in Oregon, voted to not have the mushrooms, the psychedelic psilocybin mushrooms, in their counties and cities. And I think that is a win for Oregon. We didn't, because that's having it growing, or businesses selling it, and that. So on this, that is from the Oregon Catalyst, and there's a map there showing that, and it's pretty shut down in Eastern Oregon. Now, it's not everywhere, but 25 counties and 100 cities, you know what? I take that as a win. I absolutely take that as a win. Now, to talk about the ballot measures, that's so sad. And we've got two that are very, very close. Could something with ballot chasing for signatures that were challenges, could that possibly influence those two? It could. It's worth a shot. It's a long shot, maybe, because I don't have any idea the numbers of outstanding ballots that the signatures have been challenged on. But it is something that we should definitely look at, in my opinion. Now, something else that where some of you are talking about in the comments here. Well, what about 114 and about the guns? I'm going to read a couple of comments here. So, 114, it is looking that that's a messy thing. First of all, we've now voted in something that's unconstitutional. So where does that go? I don't know, but from what I understand, the Ninth Circuit, which we're governed under. In fact, I was at a city council meeting the other day, and our police chief was talking about that, was one of the things talking about. And he said, we fall under the Ninth Circuit Court, and they've already said that magazine capacities are not unconstitutional, the Ninth Circuit. So that actually automatically goes away. So the legislators are going to have to remove that because it's unconstitutional, and the courts, the Ninth Circuit Court, has already deemed that's the case. And so in this article that I just posted from Oregon Catalyst, Lars Larson, he says that Measure 114 already brings chaos. And he says the most consequential decision voters made in last Tuesday's election involves the constitutional right, the Second Amendment. And voters decided you need a permit to exercise that right, which is about as crazy as demanding a permit to go to church. And this is it. We have constitutional rights, and we don't have to have permits to have those rights. So anyway, the law doesn't go into effect until mid-January, but the chaos it brings has already begun. Customers have packed gun stores buying guns, and I was reading on social media, don't know about it's true, but that, oh, you know what, such and such a store wouldn't ship me anything because Oregon is already on a have banned it. So we can't ship you higher capacity magazines and whatnot. 10,000 people sit in the backlog of background checks that must be finished by the Oregon State Police. Several elected county sheriffs have already announced they won't enforce some parts of the law, and it's mostly the over 10 plus capacity magazines. Lawsuits have been written and will be filed in the federal courts. Some are already saying they are filed. I don't know. And state police warned that they'll need months to figure out how to even comply with a law that forbids the exercise of that constitutional right. Hello, it is about the Constitution, quite frankly, and that this is unconstitutional. And meanwhile, no effect whatsoever on criminals. And all of these laws that affect guns, they don't have a hill of beans affect the criminals at all. They affect us, the law-abiding gun owners. And so it's going to be very difficult to. I look forward to the lawsuits. I've heard different things of what lawsuits and what happens. So Patty says 13,000 plus as of today, looking at background checks. Lori says 382% increase in gun sales prior to the election. Oh yeah. And so this is no sheriff should comply with it, and frankly, I agree with that. The sheriff is the highest law of the land in the county, not the state police. The sheriff is the highest law of the land. They are elected. And some have cojones and some don't. But the whole group of them collectively have attorneys. So have an attorney. And it really is. It's about it is standing up for our constitutional rights. So I just wanted to. There's a lot of negativity out there, and I wanted to have some positiveness, positive feedback as to our election. Yeah, it's damn disappointing, but there is caveats with what has happened, because stopping the supermajority in Oregon is huge. It's huge. And knowing that 114 is going to be challenged in the courts, and that's awesome. And I would hope that we can do something to turn 111 around as well. And now you're starting to I am anyway, starting to read a little bit. Maybe we need to repeal 110, because 110 was talked about so much in the election, about not just statewide, but locally. I'm sure, Patty, in your county it was as well. But in our county, it was definitely talked about, the issues and the challenges that 110 has put on Oregon that shouldn't be. So something like that. I don't know. I'm just talking about it, giving some food for thought, and to be talking about, to bring that thought awareness, to start the conversation on of what we should be doing, and things that we can take a look at there. So that's about what I've got today. It's exciting that the Republicans have taken control of the House, and I think Kevin McCarthy has been re-elected as the leader there. I haven't watched much news. And let's see, Patty says Narcan is $450 a shot. Yeah, and actually, I was at the grocery store today at the pharmacy picking up a prescription, and there it is. You know what? We'll give it to you with no prescription. We will, they want to arm the citizens. Here, we will give you some so you can help somebody else for free. Well, it's a sad day that we're doing that, quite frankly, in our society, because it's this Measure 110 is hindering people getting into treatment. The courts can't mandate treatment anymore. It just isn't available. The funding is going away from it. I'm talking to one of our county commissioners here in Umatilla County, and because of other things that are leading, the monies from things are drying up those resources, and the courts aren't able to mandate that people can get into drug treatment. And sometimes that is having a, yeah, no carrot with a stick. That's exactly it. We don't have the way to help people get help. And I bet many of us know somebody that has gotten into trouble. For example, a real bad car accident that you're under the influence, and the judge says, you know what, if you will do a year of going to treatment, we will not charge you with anything. But this is forcing the person. They have a choice. They can go to treatment for a year, and or 6 months or whatever it is, and versus getting charged with something that's on their record. And the next time if they do it, then it's just going to compound it, right? And I know somebody that this happened to, and the person went through treatment, and you know what, got sober. Praise God. And without the accident, that might not have happened. And so this is gone these days. This is gone. And we've had Judge Vance Day on this program, and he was actually one of the judges who started a program like that here in Oregon. And so we don't have that now, and it's a shame. So 110 is, while people go, well, they can do drugs. Well, they can, but we're not helping people get into treatment that need treatment. So, hey, everybody, thank you for listening to my rant tonight. But I don't really think it's a rant. It's things that we need to talk about, I feel. And while we need more people turning out the vote, absolutely, it takes all of us collectively to get that to happen. And, so let's get more people registered, get prepared for our next election, not just in 2024, but also in 2023, because it is our local elections. We need good candidates to run for office, for school districts, for the special districts, county commissioner. I'll tell you, think about who might be a good candidate for a position, because that's what we need. We need candidates running for office that we can all support. So just think about that. Get somebody to run for office and register a voter. Thank you, everybody. Have a good night, and we will be back. Don will be with us next Wednesday. We're looking at, he should be here next Wednesday. He couldn't be here tonight. And Don, we're thinking about you. I miss you. He's my Wednesday buddy, and we'll see him next week. And I'll be back on Friday with David. Everybody, have a super night. Share the message, and thank you for watching. Good night.